Yo, what's up? I'm KallaTheYapper, and I'm back with another reaction. And tonight's reaction, because tonight is, well, technically, it is September 10th. It's 1:57 a.m. in the morning. The new Genshin Impact 6.0 update has dropped by now. I ran around in Genshin Impact's 6.0 area, a little bit unlocking waypoints and whatnot, so yeah. I did a quick little TLDR about that. But tonight I'm going to do another reaction. And this reaction is going to be about the grittiest boss mechanic I've ever seen. And I'm curious to know which boss he's referring to when he says this. The reason I say this, because I saw this pop up on my timeline. It's been 4 hours ago since he posted this video. And that was around the time the new update was already out. I'm not sure if it was out for everyone, but I knew it was out. And I updated my Genshin Impact app so that I can see what boss he's talking about. Granted, I don't think I came across the boss he's referring to in this video, because I haven't watched this video yet, and nor did I find any boss that looked like, oh, you need a certain character to have to beat it. So, yeah. So, enough of my yap session. Let's see what boss he's referring to. 3, 2, 1, and play.
Couple hours away from not pre-releasing in Genshin Impact, and apparently we got some info on version 6.1 for Genshin Impact.
Okay.
And everything I said about the whole Lunar reaction, how they're going to implement bosses that are going to revolve around this new mechanic, I was right. And it's getting worse.
All right.
So the first boss that they implemented that revolved around Lunar reaction was the Cactus boss. Now, the Cactus boss, it was a little bit tame, right? Yes, Lunar Charge is more efficient against the Cactus boss.
Cactus boss? It must be in the new area for Nalan. I didn't come across any Cactus boss. Wait, is he referring to that giant monster that's in the freaking what you call it? The Marjavari? If he is referring to that boss, they legitimately say bring Lunar Charge or Electro Charge. AKA that boss is not an issue. Anyway, let's continue.
But you can still use Electro Charge against it, which isn't that bad. However,
of course it's not that bad. Obviously, it's typed into the description. Naturally, duh.
However, apparently, in version 6.1, so this is what the Stingy and Onslaught is going to look like for 6.
Okay, so we're referring to the Stingy and Onslaught. I see. Okay.
You guys can see over here, we have a boss called the Frost Knight Hera, Hatred and Rage. High frequency.
I can't see what's on here because he's blocking it.
See elemental damage, multi-elemental damage, and lunar reaction.
Multi-elemental damage. That sounds like it squeezes in different bosses. Now that if these are leaks for this, I don't know if I can fully trust these leaks. Unless they already leaked, or unless Hoyoverse themselves leaked what on the bosses for 6.1 gonna look like. If not, these are just leaks. Then I don't know how much I can trust these. But anyway, let's continue.
Damage. Let me go ahead and move my camera over here. Now,
thank God he moved it.
Weird because I'm
all right. I want to read this myself. Okay, we'll gain all resistance greatly increases. Exit after taking damage, or lunar charge damage a certain number of times. Damage is much more effective than elemental damage. But this is what the leak claims. But we have to see this in practice first. The fact that they even pitted in here that it will exit this resistance state via elemental damage or lunar charge damage already opens up a fair window so that it doesn't just rely on, yo, bring a lunar charge. So already, I'm already looking at that with a side eye with the claim of, oh, you need lunar charge for this. If they're saying elemental damage or lunar charge damage, that's giving open space. Giving more room of opportunity. But anyway, let's continue.
I'm facing this way, but what I'm reading is like this way. So just bear with me, guys. Just bear with me. But let's go ahead and read this, and you guys are going to see how
when exiting crap, I can't read that.
Bullshit this mechanic is. How can you deal with this if you don't have lunar reaction care?
He says that while simultaneously it says right here, will exit state, will exit after, it will exit out of this resistant state after taking elemental damage. Elemental damage is across the board. That means any and all elemental damage. It doesn't state which one particular. It says elemental damage. And then it says, or lunar reaction damage. He's asking the question, how can I beat it when the answer is right here? You see what I'm talking about?
Characters. I don't know. But let's go ahead and read it.
So I know how I'm beating it. I'm either bringing Skirk and my freeze team, Arlecchino and my overload team, my Nuvolette Farina team, or my Varissa Electro team. I got a handful of the ways I can beat it.
So it says, will enter Gloomveld state. All resistance greatly increases. Will exit after taking elemental damage or lunar reaction damage a certain number of times. Lunar reaction damage is much more efficient than elemental damage.
I would love to see this in practice first rather than it being told to me. Because again, these are leaks, so I can't take them wholeheartedly. I have to take it with a grain of salt. Granted, this is for like the new in-game mode that's mainly designed for whale players rather than like casuals or like semi-casual players like myself. So more than likely, I'm not going to even bother doing it. But I love engaging in this conversation nonetheless. It's just like, it says it's more effective or efficient than elemental damage. But like, I would love to rather see this than be told this.
So if you're not using a character that can deal lunar reaction damage, you can use, of course, elemental damage, right? Elemental damage, that's fine. But they're saying over here that lunar reaction damage is much more efficient.
But we need to know how much more efficient it is. Is it so much more efficient that it's like, oh, it's vaporizing the entire damn health bar? Or is it more efficient in, oh, it ticks off faster than whatever other elemental reaction damage you're doing? Like, what do we mean by this? Or actually, it doesn't even say elemental reaction damage. It just says elemental damage. So let's say I bring an entire team of Electro. What then? How does that work? How does that stack up against the lunar reaction? Because this is a reaction. This just says elemental damage. How much more of a difference is it? Right? Because it says elemental damage, and it's just like, okay, so that means like mono pyro, right? That's elemental damage. That's pure elemental damage, right? Right? Is that going to be less than the lunar charge? Well, by this definition, what it says down here, then it says, yeah, the lunar charge is much more effective than elemental damage. So I'm to assume that mono element teams won't work. It sounds like you may need to bring reaction teams for this. Well, at least that's what I would do for this, right? If I don't have lunar charge, because I don't have any characters who can initiate lunar charge. So I will just bring different reaction teams to this fight. Me personally. That's how I get around this. But again, we need to see this in practice rather than it just being on words, right?
Who would have thought? But let's continue.
Oh, there's more.
When exiting Gloomveld, will absorb the element it took the most damage from. So I'm guessing, like, let's say you're using Hydro, Pyro, whatever, against this boss. If you're using Pyro against this boss, it's going to absorb Pyro, right? It's going to absorb Pyro. And it says, gaining immunity and permanent application of this element. So you mean to tell me that if I'm using a DPS character, a Pyro DPS unit, and they're dealing damage against this boss, you mean to tell me when this boss exits this Gloomveld state, they're going to be immune to Pyro?
Ooh, hold up. Didn't know that. Hold on. Let me look at that. If it took more damage than this. Okay. This sounds like a really easy way to get around this, though. I know I'm pausing a lot and saying a lot, but I'm just thinking there's easy ways to get around that, right? Let's say this. Let's say you're healer. Let's say this. Let's say you decide to use your healer to keep hitting this enemy, right? And then they absorb whatever element your healer is. Well, guess what? They didn't absorb the element that your DPS is, right? So theoretically, you would have been able to bypass this problem. Or not would be, you should bypass this problem doing that. This is simple food for thought as I'm thinking about it. Right? I would just use my Bennett or my Jean to make the bastard absorb that, and then my Arlecchino, my Arlecchino, Skirk, Nuvolette, or Varissa, or use one of them as my DPS and just freaking destroy this bastard. Ooh, you know what'd be great? I would use Hydro for my Skirk team. I would use Hydro, make that bastard absorb Hydro, use my Skirk and my Escoffier and my Layla to do constant cryo damage on it, because water is kind of technically weak to ice, technically. So, now I'm more curious to see this battle put in practice, in visual practice. I need to visually see this in order for me to feel like this is a greedy mechanic.
The fuck? Let's continue.
The only thing that's really greedy about the onslaught mode is purely on the fact of it's made for whales rather than casuals or like semi-casuals or hardcores. It's made entirely for the whales, entirely, which really freaking sucks.
Continue. If it took more lunar reaction damage, then this will not happen. Ladies and gentlemen, what the fuck did I just read there? So you mean to tell me this boss, it's going to enter this Gloomveld state where it's going to have increased resistance. And if I don't use a lunar reaction character, then my damage is just not going to be that good because it has increased resistance.
I already said and explained a possible way to get around that just now, so I don't think I need to repeat myself.
But what makes it even worse is when this boss exits the Gloomveld state, it's going to absorb the element that dealt the most damage, and it's going to be immune to that element. And the only...
Then that sounds like you may want to bring an element on your team that for a character you're not even going to use the most on your team, and just deal out a lot of that element damage that the character is in possession of, to make the bastard absorb that, to then use your DPS of the element that they have not absorbed in order to kick its ass. That's what that sounds like to me.
The only way you can avoid this is if you're using a lunar reaction character.
I won't be using Lunar Charge at all.
Bro, this game is fucking cooked, man. But let's go ahead and continue here. So, it says for Gloomveld, it's...
Oh my goodness, I just realized the most I guess the only thing I can make as a valid comparison from Zenless Zone Zero to this would be the whole aftershock ability, right? Because certain characters in Zenless Zone Zero have this aftershock mechanic. Not every character has, and that's fine. Not every character needs to have every other mechanic that another character has. We don't need all that, right? Excuse me. And if they were to create a boss that wants you to perform aftershock attacks on the enemy, we already have like a 4-star character that provides that. We have about, let's say 1, 2, 3, I believe, limited characters that also do aftershock. I know Trigger does aftershock. I mean, hold up. I guess I should say this. I don't have a problem with them making bosses built around certain mechanics, right? Because the fact that they could have easily been like, oh, the only thing you need to bring to this fight is Lunar Charge. But the fact that they even put elemental damage or Lunar Charge damage on here shows the leeway or the gap. The leeway they're providing for players who don't have Lunar Charge characters. Granted, this is from a leak, and I guess the leaker is putting in in-depth description. Unless this is the in-depth description from the actual boss description. No, never mind. This is the leaker's name right here, I believe. The data miner or whatever crap they call themselves. But like, I don't really see this as much of a problem, especially when let's be honest, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think a lot of people are even doing the onslaught thing unless they're whales. I don't think most people are doing it. Shoot, I touched it one time and I was like, I can see the problem with this. I'm not dealing with that. The HP inflation is diabolical. Oh man, it was crazy.
They pretty much just put the same thing over and over again here. I think they added more details. It says
it doesn't seem like more details, man. Hold on, let me see. It's gonna change. It's during the time it was in Yeah, like simply thinking about it, like I done said it already earlier, but like there is an easy way to abuse this to your advantage. I understand what he's getting at about it's being greedy, but like if you actually sit here and think about it, there is an easy way for you to abuse this. There's such an easy way for you to abuse this to achieve victory without even needing Lunar Charge.
Let me see. Okay. Damage it received the most during the time it was Gloomveiled, thereby gaining the corresponding elemental damage immunity and elemental effects. So we just read that.
Okay. Piercing glow. Lunar Charge damage more effective when breaking the state. Damage when list and will not gain any. Okay, now that's interesting. So that's what the Lunar Charge reaction does. If it absorbs damage from the Lunar Charge reaction, now this is kind of side-eye, something I can give a little side-eye to. The fact that when it comes down to Lunar Charge, actually, you know what? Yeah, okay, I'm going to make a video about this. Because my main issue with Lunar Charge is not the reaction itself, but rather the lunar aspect of Lunar Charge, right? Or any lunar-based type reaction. My problem with it is that it's a passive ability rather than an elemental ability, right? It's not like an element in the game, right? That's my big issue. Because the fact that lunar aspect of any lunar reaction is not an element, but instead a passive ability, it creates this thing where it's like, okay, we have these characters who have the lunar blessing, right? But it's not an element. And therefore, when it's stuff like this, right? Reading this description right here, when stuff like this happens, it's like, man, if you didn't get a lunar character or a character that has the lunar effect or passive ability, then yeah, you're kind of cooked in certain situations like this, right? Which is my biggest problem. I will stand by this because I said it in my streams before. The lunar aspect of the lunar reactions should have been an elemental power rather than a passive ability in a character's kit. Because that's the only reason this Lunar Charge stuff is happening. It should have been an element, not a passive ability. Let's continue.
Purest Moonglow. So lunar reaction damage is more effective when breaking the Gloomveiled state. If it has taken more lunar reaction damage when it exits the Gloomveiled state, its elemental type will change to elementless, and it will not gain any elemental damage.
Granted, this is still in the beta, I would have to assume. And if this is in the beta, I hope they do change this, because Lunar Charge reaction... Actually, you know what I'm thinking about? Hold up. Actually, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. If you're using a reaction to attack an enemy, to attack this enemy, right? And the enemy is supposed to absorb the element that they took the most damage from, right? Then this should have... Actually, you know what? They need to change this. They need to change it to when Lunar... Okay, they need to change it and add any elemental reaction. It shouldn't just be elemental damage. They need to change it to elemental reaction damage. That's what they need to change this to. This is the one tweak that I think solves this whole problem. Change this shit from elemental damage to elemental reaction damage, and the same effect that it has for Lunar Charge, when it comes down to, it won't absorb any elemental power at all. Instead, it'll just become elementless, and it won't have any elemental effects at all or gain immunity to. This should apply to not only just Lunar Charge reaction, but any elemental reaction. This is the one change I'll do for this whole boss. Because I'm gonna be honest, that fixes the whole entire problem with this. Just add that, and this whole discussion is over. Which I hope that they do, especially if they know that players are digging into data mines in order to, learn about this stuff a whole month in advance. Like, Hoyoverse should know this at this point. They should be changing this shit.
There's no way somebody can defend this shit. And you know what's crazy? People are actually going to defend this. There is no way you can sit here and defend this. They're pretty much telling you that if you are not using a character that can deal lunar reaction damage, literally go fuck yourself. This is...
Well, that's not entirely true. It's kind of like 50% true. Because, as I said, the wording of the description of it all, right? But anyway, let's continue.
insane. So the only way you can avoid this bullshit where, the boss will absorb the element that dealt the most damage and they're going to be immune to that, the only way you can avoid this is if you use a lunar reaction unit that can.
Well, I already explained another path, a strategic pathway to, bypass this. I already explained it, so I don't need to explain it again.
Deal lunar reaction damage, because it says over here, if it has taken more lunar reaction damage when it exits the Gloomveld state, its elemental type will change to elementless, and it will not gain any elemental damage immunity or elemental effects. So the only way you can avoid this bullshit mechanic is if you're using a character that can deal a lot of lunar reaction damage.
Or, play around with the mechanic to your advantage, like I said earlier, right?
That is the only fucking way.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna treat this mechanic similar to the freaking miasma mechanic. The same mechanic in Zone Zero where niggas were talking about some, like St. Thomas talking about some, oh, you need to pull a freaking rupture unit in order to beat the mechanic. No, the F you didn't. At all. It even said in the description of how the mechanic works and how to bypass it. And not only that, it rewarded the players by giving you energy and more decibels. Well, not more decibels. It gave you energy and decibels so that you be able to pop off your ults and your skills. So he was wrong on that entirely, but then he goalpost shifted. But that's not about this conversation. I just wanted to parallel, what I was talking about. Anyway, let's continue.
Boy, oh boy, these developers are completely out of control. Now let's go ahead and take a look at these other bosses. Now, we have a boss over here. Now, this is like a Fontaine boss, to be honest, because it says Bond of Life. So you need to use Bond of Life characters and shield characters. I think this boss is fine. It's cool.
Really? You think it's fine and cool? That's strange. The reason I say this. Oh, let me finish.
Doesn't really have any, lunar reaction bullshit. But this boss over here.
Okay, I'm gonna say something about her. He says it's fine that the Bond of Life mechanic is fine for this boss, but he just got done complaining about the lunar reaction damage, the lunar reaction mechanic for this boss. The reason I say I find that iffy is because is my mic back on? Okay, my mic's back on. Okay, now let me continue what I was saying. The reason I find this iffy that he's, there we go, still on. Okay, the reason I find this iffy is because, again, the Bond of Life mechanic is in a similar vein as the lunar reaction mechanic, or lunar reaction, right? Bond of Life, there's only so many characters in the game that can use the Bond of Life mechanic, which kind of really sucks in my opinion, because when they introduced the Bond of Life mechanic, my first thought was, oh, is this going to be the mechanic that Natlan characters use? That's what my first thought was, the Bond of Life mechanic. That's what I assumed was going to happen, right? But that didn't happen, right? Because there's no characters in Natlan who abuse and use the Bond of Life mechanic in their kits at all, as far as I remember. I'm pretty sure there's no one like that, right? The only characters that can use Bond of Life, because this is kind of shield towards characters, just like how this boss is shield towards characters who can do this, which is only two at the moment that can provide this. This boss, there's only like Arlecchino, Siegewing, and Chlorind who can abuse the Bond of Life mechanic. So this is shield too. So like, if you have the same energy for, like, why aren't you keeping the same energy for Bond of Life as you do with Lunar Charge? Like, they're essentially, the mechanics are somewhat similar, same vein of being like these specified mechanics that only certain characters have access to and can use, which then these bosses are designed around them and being shielded by them. We'll get a shield. And they play Bond of Life to all party members. Shit is broken. We'll take massive damage. Ooh, that's interesting. Anyway, let's continue. That's all I had to say about that.
over here, this is also.
I just find it a little iffy about we're complaining about this one, but not complaining about this one. These two are both equally valid to complain about.
A non-crate boss because it says moon sign
But I guess you want to mention about the lunar thing because the lunar thing is the hot topic thing to talk about right now versus Bond of Life, because I think we already went through the whole Bond of Life phase. But like still, it's like, man, I wish we had more Bond of Life characters. It's an interesting mechanic. I don't know why they don't make more of those type of characters.
Ascended Glim. Now we're gonna have to wait and see what this is about when the maintenance is over, because I am waiting for maintenance to end here. But it says over here it has 2 layers of HP. The first human, the second Wild Hunt. Wild Hunt, when hit by abilities enhanced by Ascended Glim Moon Sign level 2, enters critical state. Now, I remember that when it comes to the Moon Sign thing, this is for non-crit units only. And there's like an artifact set that revolves around this whole Moon Sign shit. So, once again, guys, we have another boss over here that revolves around not create units. Now, I don't know if you...
Personally, I don't think that's an issue, right? Because it's one thing I noticed that Flarios does a lot. He will complain about a boss mechanic designed around a certain mechanic in, I guess, mainly I've seen him do it in Genshin. I haven't seen him do it in Wuwa. I've seen him do it with Star Rail as well. And all my thoughts, the only thing I can think of is, so we're complaining about boss mechanics designed around the gameplay of a game whose base gameplay is this, that has elementary reactions, that have this, that, and the third. Oh, the boss tell you bring a shield to the fight. The boss tell you bring a healer to the fight. If the boss wants burning reaction, bring characters who can perform, that can initiate burning reactions, and so on. You get the point I'm making, right? So every time I see him complain about Genshin boss mechanics, I'm just thinking to myself, what's the point in complaining about this when it's legitimately designed for an elemental reaction type or mechanic that's in the game, that's built into the base game, rather. And I'm just like, what's to complain about here? It's like, God forbid a game dev creates a boss that's surrounded around the either mechanics that's been in the game for years or a new mechanic they just introduced probably like 2 months ago. Like, God forbid.
You have to use not-crit characters against this boss, but seeing how we take a look at the requirements, it says Moon Sign Ascended Glim. I wouldn't be surprised if you're not using not-crit characters against this boss. You're fucking cooked.
Well, we'll have to see until it resets, or when 6.1 drops, rather.
Remember, guys, this is Stingy and Onslaught. You have 2 minutes to deal with these boss.
I hate having to use 2 minutes to try to beat a boss. That HP inflation is ridiculous. They need to decrease that HP and increase that damn timer. Shoot, if they want high HP, fine. I said this in my live streams before, in my other live streams, or I think a video I made a while back. Actually, I haven't made a video about it. I'm gonna make a video about in-game content and what I would prefer in-game content does. But anyway, enough about that. But to get my point across, if they're gonna increase HP, they should increase the damn timer. It makes no sense to me that I have to sit here and try to beat a boss with my half-ass built units, right? Because I got like poorly built units in both Genshin, Star Rail, HSR, and Zenless. I've been working on my Zenless builds, but nonetheless, to get back to the point, I hate the fact that the HP is increased in this in-game mode, which is like I can just avoid it and go do something else. It's one of 3 different in-game modes in the game, but if they're going to create an in-game mode like this, they need to increase that damn timer. The timer should not be 2 minutes. At best, give a nigga 10 minutes. Give them 10 minutes. If they can beat it within 5 minutes, oh, they get an S. If they beat it within 10, give them an A. Right? Or, would it be an A? Yeah, regardless. Like, you know what I'm talking about. If they want you to beat the boss in 2 minutes, they need to give us 10 minutes worth of time. If you can't beat it in 2 minutes, beat it in 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So you see what I'm doing? The descent down the ladder of time. 2 minutes is equal to S. 4 minutes is A. Or 3 minutes is A. 4 minutes is B, C, D, all the way up to E. Like, you get the point I'm making. Increase the damn timer, for crying out loud. Anyway, enough of my crash out. Let's continue.
Bosses. And we do know that their HP is bloated as fuck. Like, they have insane HP. So not only do you have to sit here and worry about HP inflation in 2 minutes, you also have to go through a boss that is literally immune to elements now. And the only way you can turn this shit off is if you are using a lunar reaction character.
Again, there's nothing wrong with having to deal with this type of boss. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know he's crashing out and like showing how upset and like how stupid this boss mechanic is, right? But if we're being honest, I mean, it's not a surprising boss mechanic. And two, it's not something that cannot be dealt with. It can be dealt with. The only issue is that this boss, or all these bosses are in the new in-game mode, which has crazy bloated HP. If that in-game mode did not have bloated HP, he would only be Flareos would only be complaining about the boss mechanic. But then you'll see people beat the boss mechanic, right? Because I know a couple of videos back he was complaining about boss mechanics for Natlan bosses needing either the burning reaction or the freaking freeze or cryo or freeze reaction. And it's just like, you do know we can initiate those reactions by ourselves, right? What's the complaint about this? God forbid, again, like I said earlier, God forbid they make bosses built around reaction types, as if we can't do the reaction types by themselves. Now, Lunar is a special case, knowing that Lunar is not a freaking element, but it's a fucking passive ability, which is like the biggest L move that they could have done with the Lunar thing. I'm gonna make a video about that. But anyway, yeah. You get the point I'm making, hopefully.
And guys, look, it says all resistance is greatly increased, bro. Holy shit, dude. Like, you're literally getting punished for using old characters.
I don't know if all about that. I feel like that's a bit of a stretch, my guy.
Even Natlan characters, I don't even know how Natlan characters can deal with this mechanic.
Well, if you don't know how Natlan characters are going to fare against the mechanic, why are you speaking so confidently that they won't be able to deal with it? If you don't know,
this is insane. Like, for real, guys, dead ass. I really don't know how you can bypass that mechanic. I don't know how you can work your way around it.
I done explained it earlier how. What's crazy is I'm not even a Genshin. Oh my goodness, I need to say this. I'm not even like a diehard in-game mode player when it comes down to like Genshin or Star Rail or Zenless or Wuwa. Like, I'm really not. I'm semi-casual at best. I dive my feet into it a little bit, then I just exit out and just leave it alone for a good long while until I'm like, oh, okay, let me build my characters a little bit to try to get like beat it up some more so I can see my progression of my power of my characters, right? That's how I work. Like, I'm not like, I got C0 characters for the most part on my entire Genshin account, except for 4-star characters that's been on like the rerun banners or on the limited banners multiple times, like Fischl and all of them and whatnot, right? So, like, I've already figured out a way to bypass this. It actually doesn't even take a lot to think about how can I bypass it? Like, I even explained it early in this reaction. But nonetheless, you get the point. I don't think this is a big deal. How to bypass the reaction is not going to, this boss's mechanic, it's not going to be that difficult, especially if you don't have the Lunar reaction. It's going to be pretty easy. Watch. I promise you it's going to be easy.
Unless you're using a non-crate character. I have no idea, because if you're not using a non-crate character, the boss has increased resistance when it enters the Gloomveld state. And when it exits the Gloomveld state, it's going to be immune to the element that dealt the most damage. So your DPS character, what can your DPS character do?
Don't use the DPS, use the support in order to build up all that elemental damage. Simple.
I have no fucking idea. If they put this boss in Spiral Abyss, and I think they will, because when it came to the Pillar boss, we all thought that the Pillar boss was not going to be in Spiral Abyss. Lo and behold, they put the Pillar boss in Spiral Abyss. So
that Pillar boss was mad easy to beat. I remember he made a video about it. That was another video that he made, complaining about boss mechanics in Genshin. And I literally put in the comment section that, bro, you can just use Kachina for her to get up to the pillars, stun it, break those orbs up there and stun it completely. Yes, she's not going to provide anything else to your team because she's not playing the role of support or healer or whatever, or sub DPS. But the thing is, just use her for that particular boss. And that's it. Boom, you stunned it. Now pull out your DPS and start letting that damn thing happen. It's really a quick and easy solution that a lot of people just weren't willing to accept as an easy solution that was given to them. And I rolled at that so freaking hard. It's like, bro, why aren't you using the quick and easy useful tool that was given to you for free, mind you, to beat that boss mechanic? It's not hard. Why are we making it difficult for ourselves, right? That was my whole reaction to all that. It was just like, bro, this is a non-issue. Anyway, let's continue. Oh, hold up. That click right
So
button. Oh,
if
there we
they
go.
put this motherfucker, right, this piece of shit right here, if they put Frost Knight Hera in Spiral Abyss, I really don't know how you're gonna deal with this boss if you're not using non-crate characters. I have no idea, because if you're not dealing with lunar reaction damage, you can't get rid of this. You literally can't get rid of this.
I'm actually really surprised that he cannot piece it together himself how to bypass this. All I did was read the description and just and sat there and thought about it, and then boom, I was like, oh, I found a way. Easy. Now, I do not believe that this is going to be some hard thing to get past, especially after what I said like multiple different times throughout the video. Dang, I shouldn't have said it multiple different times. I just wanted to yap.
Rid of this purest Moonglow bullshit mechanic. It's insane, bro. This is crazy. But let me know what you guys think in the comments.
I'm not gonna lie. Anytime I see him complain about a boss mechanic, I really be hoping that the boss mechanic itself does not give leeway for anything else other than the one thing that he's complaining about that the boss mechanic is shield for. But every time this happens, I keep seeing that one, there's another way to skin this cat, aka the boss, from using Gachina to climb pillars, using the element types that it's telling you to use. Stop trying to fight against that. Just use the damn element types that it's telling you to bring to the fight. You have multiple characters at this point, especially if you've been playing for 5 years. Or if you've been playing for like 6 months, you should have damn near every element type in the game. So there's no reason why you can't deal with the boss mechanics with the elements it's telling you to bring. And now this. So it's just like, I don't think this boss is that much of an issue. The real issue, in my opinion, was the whole, if it's lunar charge reactions hitting it, and if it absorbs that, it becomes elementless because it's absorbing a reaction rather than one element, right? And that's the real problem with the boss. And if I'm being honest with y'all, that's the only real issue with the boss, is because of that. While when it comes down to just any elemental damage it does take and absorb, then it just becomes immune to that element, which I done explained a way to get around that too. So it's like if I had to rate it to a scale of like 1 to 5 or like 1 to 10, I'd say it's like a 3 to 4 type boss mechanic to deal with. It's not ultra difficult, but there is a way to get around this. But since it's in the new onslaught game mode, then it's like, oh boy, HP inflation. I got to deal with that.
Comment section down below. I might go ahead and do a live stream right now to pretty much, try out Nod Crate to see how it is. And it would be cool if we can see the details for this boss in the game. Hopefully. I don't think so, because this is like 6.1. So this is probably going to be like a 6.1 boss. But things are not looking good already, guys. And I heard that the next character, like there's like this Dendro character. I didn't look at leaks, but this is rumors, right? But I don't know if it's 100% accurate. But apparently, the Dendro character, she...
I do not know what the F is going on right now with my stuff. This shit is irritating my nerve. Hold up. No wonder I got it on damn audio. I had it on audio this entire time. No freaking wonder. I should have fixed that before I started this whole entire damn reaction. Now I'm pissed. Anyway, hopefully let's continue.
So this is probably going to be like a 6.1 boss. But things are not looking good already, guys. And I heard that the next character, like there's like this Dendro character. I didn't look at leaks, but this is rumors, right? But I don't know if it's 100% accurate. But apparently, the Dendro character, she, if you don't have Llama, she's not gonna do very well. That's what I heard. But
okay, I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, characters with their best in slot teammates not being able to perform the way that they are supposed to is like it. If the rumor, I don't really know much going on with Nefer. I've seen like some videos talking about Nefer and what she does, but if something that Llama has in her kit is something that benefits Nefer greatly, and if you don't have Llama and the thing she has in her kit for Nefer, how big of a difference is that? That's what I would love to know. Are we gonna have like a Zanny situation where, right, where like Zanny needs special frazzle and there's not a lot of characters who can give her the amount of special frazzle that she needs to get off her ultimate so that her ultimate can do the damage it's supposed to do? Are we going to have that type of situation? If so, okay, then this is an issue. But if we're not going to have that situation, I don't think this is going to be much of an issue. But again, I need to wait and see for how that goes down.
Bro, this shit is my fault. My fault. I'm sitting here banging my mic. Yo, Not Craze looking bad. Not Cray is looking really, really bad.
I don't know. Using one boss in the entire game to say that Nocry is bad as a whole, kind of iffy stretch, my guy.
And I think it's gonna get worse from here. It is gonna get worse because this boss, you guys already know how I am when it comes to these boss mechanics. This has to be the worst one yet. Papilia is dog shit, but this is insane.
I'm not gonna lie, some of his complaints about certain boss mechanics in this game or in Genshin Impact, I'm not gonna lie, some of these complaints are just like whatever complaints, if I'm being honest. They're not that serious or as big of a deal as he's making it out to be, when it's like you can bypass this easy. But anyway, this is usually the end of the video. I don't think I have anything else to say. I think I made this reaction longer than it needed to be, and that's my apologies. I just yapped a lot. Yeah. I'll see y'all in the next reaction video that I do. It's hopefully it's gonna be KallaTheYapper's video about Withering Waves and the problems it has. I'm very interested to hear what problems Withering Waves has. Anyway, like, sub, turn on notification bell, join the Discord, the YouTube community Discord, and yeah, look out for my next reaction and my next yapping topics video, which I just posted one. It'll probably be it's been posted tonight as I'm making this video. Today is again September 10th, and it's 2:39 in the morning. So the video is already out by now, but I'm gonna leave it in the pop-up like how his video is right here for you to go watch. This reaction is gonna be posted a couple days later because, you know, I want to show at least some respect to the homie, right? Because I don't want to post my video 5 hours after he done posted this one. So I'm gonna wait a couple days to post this. Anyway, I think I just said everything I need to say, and I'll see y'all later. Bye, peace. I don't know if I'm gonna give the video a like because I don't fully agree, but I understand what he getting at though, right? So I guess I'll leave a like to show my support. Anyway, later. Bye, peace.